video, as well as in the next videos that follow, you will gain valuable insights and knowledge about how knowledge works and how the digital method approaches this procedure. A very important concern when creating the digital method was what methodology to use, and of course this is the subject of this video. My background in classical epistemology and my research showed me that what is widely known as the experimental method is very problematic, circular, and even though it is historically important, it cannot be applied everywhere. And I'm not talking about economics or unethical medical experiments. In physics, for example, it is impossible to do experiments to directly observe and measure not only anything that is smaller than an electron, anything that is larger than what we view with our telescopes, but even things that are more down to earth, such as the bottom of the oceans. Okay, we have actually seen some of it, or the tectonic plates, we cannot ever see them, or the core of the earth. In educational settings, one could measure the effect of a certain learning strategy, such as blocked or random practice. But what about whole systems, such as the Waldorf or the Montessori educational systems? There is no series of experiments that could simply test an educational system as a whole. So I went on to make a series of conventions, and I developed two types of models, a mechanistic one and a two-dimensional one, inspired by the methodology of systems biology. Their purpose is to explain the learning process leading to expert performance. Let's see them in a more detailed way. Here you see the mechanistic model. On top, there is the phenomenon, what we see and what is the expert performance. This phenomenon emerges from the interaction of its various components, which are education, environment, schools, cognitive and motor abilities, biology, deliberate practice, research. In my model, I included the digital method as well. The environment, both social and physical, interacts with both education and schools. All three interact with biology and abilities, which are two sides of the same coin. In turn, all these directly or indirectly interact with deliberate practice, a notion we shall discuss in another video, of course. Deliberate practice, how to train, interacts with the digital method, the content of training, and all these, supported by research findings, give birth to experts who are able to demonstrate expert performance. A basic convention is that there are no private experts, that is, experts who have the capacity to demonstrate expert behavior but never do so. Moving on to the two-dimensional model now, to see how these parameters may be categorized into sub- and supercategories, or as we say in set theory, in subsets and supersets. Oh, and it is so easy to just show them, but it took so many months to conceive them and actually develop them. So here is the table. Here you see in the middle, the gray column, the various parameters we saw in the mechanistic model. It is categorized based on levels of organization. Then, at each level of organization, each parameter is analyzed based on the concept of smaller and larger grades of resolution. So let's go through each parameter and see how it is analyzed. First, we have the environment. There are the kinds of experts, which we will see them in another video, and the demarcation criteria that allow us to know the oftentimes thin line or border between experts and the general public. In more general terms, the environment is related to the needs of the individual, which may function as motives. Ethics, meaning what is socially acceptable and what not, and the social needs, since oftentimes it will be easier to become an expert in a domain that is more in demand and even the state supports it more. The same applies to the next levels of organization. The next videos of this section will also consist of an analysis of these concepts. Expert analysis has three aims: to identify experts, to describe experts, and to predict experts. This scheme is analogous to the one Ericsson has proposed. Prediction of expertise is an identified area of interest where great advancements have not been made. The current work will focus on all three goals, describing which assumptions and tactics better lead to expert performance in general, and what the digital method coach and counselor needs to know, what you need to know. See you in the next video.